A friend of mine once said it will only be a matter of time before the majority of women will resent feminism as they stay in a lonely house filled with cats while sipping on boxed wine and wondering where it all went wrong. By then, it will be too late. Feminists have been training women to be men. That's pretty much a prerequisite for a professional career these days. But it's also a formula for failure in your personal life. A feminine woman and a man go together like a nut and a bolt. A masculine woman and a man go together like two bolts. The masculine professional woman may disguise her masculine nature to get married, but eventually it will express itself as competition with the man for dominance and control in the family. That leads to divorce for irreconcilable differences, not surprisingly. The fact is that women trying to be masculine in a home is what leads to high divorces. Men and women have distinct roles. They should complement each other and not compete. Men head the home. Women support as helpers. If Western women want to pursue their own path, men will get passports for foreign women who are best trained to be feminine and have less pain and stress. What most older women also don't realize is that no decent man would enter into a relationship with them when they're so desperate. As a man, the last thing you want to do is involve someone in your life because, in her eyes, you'll do. The truth is that nearly every woman I've tried to approach in my life has tried to gaslight me into thinking I'm worthless and not good enough. It took me a long time to overcome the damage done to my confidence and self-esteem, and I've actually come to the conclusion I can't be around people like that. What sort of monster makes another person feel terrible for merely approaching them and wanting to get to know them? It's sickening. The hardest part of growing up as a man is a horrible realization that women aren't as nice as we've been made to believe. It's a difficult pill to swallow, especially for a former optimist. And this is what I've basically seen in the last decade. Attractive women overestimate their value and then end up having 3 kids by the time they're 30. Thinking that will trap the man of their dreams, they usually find themselves raising those kids at the taxpayer's expense. This happens generation after generation, and they never learn. In today's world, it is difficult for you to find an ideal partner, because most people care about material things, formalities, and appearances. I searched for a long time for true love, for the pure essence, for tenderness, and I did not find it. And her child became my moon, and he became her sun. But I did not find it, and yet I still believe that love exists and that it is a very great thing. It needs to be taught to all young women, straight from school, that they have a limited shelf life in terms of reproduction, and there's a sweet spot when they are most fertile, and they need to seriously consider their options before it's too late. Awareness campaigns need to be made common to high school students so they know the deal and the lonesome sad future that awaits them if they go the route of career or job over being a mother and wife. I think we are entering a humbling period, gentlemen. While I keep enjoying the single, peaceful, and prosperous life on my own, I am just going to sit back and watch the feminists figure it out themselves. The modern Western woman is no longer an ideal worth fighting or protecting. Just get out of the way. The best way to defend yourself from a punch is to make sure you are not present when it comes to a strike. I have also learned that women prefer money above all other considerations. The guy can be handsome, young, have many skills, have a good personality, is a great conversationalist, and why not, a great lover. But they don't have as much money as the woman. They are worth less, in real terms, than that woman, and therefore he's not a good mate. This is not a feminist point of view. Women have always gone after men who had more money than they do. That's human history. Now they, being strong, independent feminists, also only want a man who has more money. Isn't there some kind of peak in their thinking? They're using the same thinking as all women before them in history. It really is only about money, so they want to have the richer guys, which are what women always wanted. How is that feminist? It's the same old, same old. I wonder how many great guys have been discarded because the woman reached that enlightened stage where she wanted what every woman in history has wanted, and now, being near the end of their reproductive cycle, they find going it alone not being everything it's cracked up to be. Isn't that weird? Women plan a couple's whole lives out, including how they will live, where they will live, the parties they will attend, and the relatives they will visit on the weekends. Most women are unsure of how to react when a man offers his opinion because they haven't truly read the articles in Cosmopolitan that explain how guys are also human beings with individual goals in life. Once many men reach the age of 30 or 35, they start to awaken from our tea-induced comas, and we start wanting more than just good physical intimacy and perhaps children in a relationship, which must be shocking to some women when they finally realize that men can think about relationships with more than just their carrots or cucumbers. When this happens, the whole scenario that women would have built right from the start of the relationship about how she would control so aspects of the guy's life starts to disintegrate, and that usually makes women feel insecure. Most women are not equipped to handle a fallout when a man begins to emerge from his shell, and they realize that he is also a human being. Ironically, this is also generally the time that marriages fail. His mentality starts to alter around the time he experiences his midlife crisis or awakening, and I believe the woman he's been with for the most part is accustomed to running the show. She becomes frustrated with him when he opens his mouth at that time and begins to demand things from her. Women assume that at that time in the relationship, the man is emotionally engaged to them, and that it is acceptable to begin making demands of him. Because he is in love, he will essentially go above and beyond to win her over because he doesn't want to experience the sorrow of a breakup. This, my friends, is emotional blackmail, and it typically constitutes a significant portion of how women manipulate and control men. They turn our own love against us by gauging our willingness to comply with their demands as a form of measuring or observing love. Ironically, we start to be less ready to put up with their controlling behaviors as we get older and our big brain starts to think for us again, which is one of the main reasons for the rising rates of divorce. Maybe the controlling behavior starts because of change. A few years ago, she had the man in her clutches and the kids were totally dependent on her for their life. Now, all of a sudden, she isn't the focus of attention and she doesn't know how to handle it. She simply knows that things seem strange and that women typically feel first and think second instead of rationally reasoning their way through the changes in her life. Therefore, her emotions tell her that something needs to be done since her children are growing up too quickly and her spouse poses a threat. She decides to start controlling him even more, and he gets irritated by her behavior. And when things fall apart completely, these women realize how being a strong, independent woman was just a lie to make them want to be more masculine. In the end, this single factor has ruined more relationships today than anything else. The whole idea of strong and independent women is based on an extreme level of feminism that promote male oppression and women take over control of their entire life, in an act of revenge against all the women who have been oppressed by men throughout history. It doesn't make sense, and it has far-reaching negative consequences for the idea of a family, which is on the decline in the Western world. Fact is, women do need men. Most of them realize that too late when they're past the wall hitting their mid-40s and realizing they're missing a big chunk of life. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel. And let us know your thoughts on this in the comments. We're always up for a healthy debate and discussion.